Hello everyone, thank you for clicking on this video. Today I'm going to be talking about my asylum process in Germany. I live now in Germany, but I came here and I sought for asylum, and now I live here. I am just going to narrate my personal experience. Mind you, people have different experiences, but this is from my point of view, and this is what I went through. So when I arrived Germany in Frankfurt in December 2017, and then I went to Baden-Württemberg because I had a friend there, and in I had a friend there in Heilbronn. And so from there, I went to register to seek for the asylum. I didn't even know what was going to happen, but I went to the immigration, and from the immigration, they told me no, they don't just receive people here. I should go to the reception camp. And the reception camp was in Karlsruhe. So I went to the reception camp in Karlsruhe, and that's when I was received. You present yourself as a refugee. They take an information, your basic information, name, age, nationality, or where you're coming from, whatever. And so you're given a room. I stayed in a small room, and there were three bunk beds. That means six people. I really did not like the condition, but it was not the worst of it all. But in my head, I was like, God, if I have to stay here one more day, I don't know what will happen. I didn't just like it, but it felt like prison because it was just empty. It was just cold, you know. It was not the best. But so someone advised me that tomorrow they were going to transfer people from the reception camp to the registration camp. So if I want to make it on the bus, I have to wake up very early so to stand on the queue. So the next day, I woke up very early, about 5 or 4 a.m. I stood on the queue, and I succeeded in getting on the bus to be taken to the registration camp. So we moved from the reception camp to the registration camp that is at Heidelberg. So at the registration camp, I think it was like in an old police barrack. So that's there you get registered as an asylum seeker. Your fingerprints are being taken, your informations are being taken, any document of identification is being taken. But at this point, you are not asked any question. They just take your fingerprints and everything. So I was given I stayed in a small room again, and there were also three bunk beds. It was really tight, but it was not the worst condition. It was better than the reception camp. It was a little bit warmer because I went to a boarding school, so I am pretty used to living in a small space with a lot of people. I was there with a pregnant woman and a woman with the child and something like that. I arrived there on Thursday. I don't remember the exact date, but after I arrived there on Thursday, and then on Friday, I finally did my registration. And Friday, Saturday, um, because after when you get registered, you get posted to different Bundesländer, to different states, different, yeah, federal states in Germany. So I went after my registration. I was told that I would be posted to Leipzig. I didn't even know where Leipzig was. I didn't even have Wi-Fi to Google where Leipzig was or whatever. I was just like, okay, I don't know. So I stayed there Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. The bus, we were giving tickets, train tickets, and then the bus took us to the train station and left us there. And it was like, okay, you're here at the train station, you have your ticket, find your way to Leipzig. But I'm so lucky that I had traveled before, so it was not a very difficult situation for me to ask around or to find my way in a strange land. But it made the winter and the cold made it even more difficult. Believe me, the way I'm explaining this, I can really put the graphic of how cold and how much I wanted to give up at some point, because it's like, where am I going? It was a little bit hard, but anyway, the grace of God led me through. So from there, I asked what platform the train to Leipzig leaves. So someone directed me, and I got on the train. It was a long journey from Heidelberg to Leipzig. I arrived Leipzig at about 7:30 p.m. And so once I arrived, because they gave me, when from the registration camp, now I was sent to Leipzig. Leipzig would be my living camp. This is where I would live throughout my asylum process. So I arrived Leipzig about 7:30 p.m. I just saw some black guys. I just asked them that I'm looking for the street, Max Lieberman. That's where you have the camp in Leipzig. And they were downloading something on their phones, and they told me, oh, they also from the camp, and they want to use the Wi-Fi because they have free Wi-Fi at the Bahnhof. So I had to stay there and wait for them to finish downloading whatever they were downloading. I was cold, I was tired, but I had no choice because I really didn't know my way. So I had to just wait for them since they had promised to take me to the camp. And so when I got to the camp, we finally got to the camp at about 8 or 9, and then your photo is being taken, and you register that you have arrived at the camp. So when you arrive at the camp, they take you first. There is within the camp, there is a section for first reception, people who first arrive. They put you there because the next day you're going to go to the police station, and you're going to do your medicals and everything, because you have to do your medical check. They have to do your medical checkups. They have to do your blood tests before they have you integrate with the rest of the people. I don't know what difference it makes if I had like an airborne disease. I've already traveled for how many hours on the train, but I don't know. That was just the process. So the next day we were taken to the police station where we did another registration, and there they ask you, like they ask you, you have like an overview of your interview. That's when they ask you why you are here, and then so you state your reason that you're here because of this and because of that. You fill some forms, a lot of paperwork, and then after that you take your blood test. For women, they do the breast scan, and they do whatever is needed to be done, medical checkups and all of those things. And make sure that at this police, that's like a pre-interview, but it's not really in detail. They are not the ones who decide. The police is not, they are part of the immigration, but they are not the ones who decide whether you get to stay in the country or not, or whether your asylum process is successful or not. But you have to be consistent. Make sure that the reason you state now is the reason you will state at the immigration itself, where you have your second interview. That's the main interview. So after we were done with all the registration and things like that, we were taken back to the camp, and then I was allocated a room and everything. You're given toiletries, and you will stay there for the main time until you get a letter from the immigration from Banff that you have your interview. So I stayed there January, February. I think I had my interview in March or April. I cannot really tell. And the conditions in the camp is not bad at all. Like I said, I've been to a boarding school, and my room was small, and so there were just two people. No bunk beds, just normal small spring kiki kind of beds. But it was fine. It was warm. The food, of course, you don't expect to have the quality of food that you will get in a restaurant, but it was fine. For me personally, it was fine. It was just like living in a boarding school again, but with food without pepper and all of those kind of spices. I was struggling with the food a lot, but that's the only bad thing I could say. Believe me, you. And they will clean the dormitories. I should say they will clean the dormitories every day. They will clean the toilets every day. Of course, people will mess up the toilet. It's normal when you live when you live in a place with people from all around different countries, different cultural backgrounds, different home bringing, different hygiene styles and things like that. They will clean the toilet, but the toilet was what it is. But like I said, it was not the worst situation. It was just like living in a boarding school. And the extra bonus there was they get to do your laundry. They do your laundry and they iron your laundry. Even now that fast forward to now that I have my own apartment, sometimes I'm like, when it's time for laundry, I'm like, oh my god, if it was in the camp, they would do my laundry for me. The only thing in the camp is they don't separate your laundry for you. So you can either choose to do color laundry this week, and then the next week you do white laundry. Because if you put your laundry, no one is separating white from red. They would put all of it in the washing machine and they all come out looking like pink. So if you separate your white or and your color things this week, that's what I used to do. I would separate them and they come out clean and ironed. So it was a nice service. And then every week for allowance they would give you 35 euros, I think, 35 to 37 euros every week. But you get fed morning, afternoon, and evening. So the extra allowance is for you to get, just maybe you want to eat something extra, you can get it. And you get toiletries, you get towels, and sometimes there are clothes for people who do not have clothes. But me, I had clothes, and even when I left the camp, I left some of my clothes there. It was not a problem for me because there are some people who really come and do not have clothes and things like that. So you get assisted as much as possible. And then from when you get there, you're advised to start the German language, to start learning the German language. So I started learning the German language even before I went for my interview in the camp. I mean, like, I thought that was a bonus for me because just sitting every day, waking up and eating and sleeping, it was not the best feeling for me. That was not my lifestyle, coming from someone who has been working for the past 5 years and just now living this sedentary life. It was not the best for me. So when I got the opportunity to start learning the German language, I took upon it. I first learned, I think, for 2 weeks in the camp, and then you could go out in the city and get registered at a language school. There are language schools that are being sponsored by BAMF, that's the immigration for people for refugees or people who want to learn the German language. And so you get registered and you attend for free, and you get a transport that you could ride all around the city, train tickets. So I mean, what more could you really ask for? So I was like, okay, fine. So I went, I registered, and I would get my ticket every month, and I started attending the German language. And so that was my life. And it's, there is no restriction. You are also free to go out. You can even go out of the city, and you can even go out of the state. I think I went out of the state once, but I didn't spend the night there. You can go out and maybe you can stay 1 or 2 nights, but the problem is you have to be present when you have a mail from BAMF. BAMF is an immigration place. So you have to be present once when you have a mail from BAMF, because every or maybe you have to answer to something, because every Monday and Wednesday they put list of for people who need to go for um interviews, or if you have a mail or something like that. And when you're not there, even someone sees your name, no one can do anything for you, no one can receive your letter for you. So the only thing is you have to be present for things like that. But other than that, you're free. You can go out, you can have fun, if do whatever you want to do, but make sure that you are present for anything that concerns you, for any administrative thing that concerns you. So I stayed there, and I was going to my Deutsch course, and I was just living my life normally in the camp. And and then the day came, I got a letter that and my name came out that I am going to have an interview. I don't remember the day. I don't know if it was in March or in April of 2018. And so I went to the immigration, and there you have a translator. If your native language is English, you would have someone who translates from English to German for you, so you can That's so that you can understand. At that point, my German was not really good. I was just a beginner. So I was being interviewed by two men. They asked me if it was okay. I said it was okay. I didn't really care because an English interpreter was scarce. The same man who did my first interpretation at the police when we came for the police registration and everything, it was the same man who who was translating for me again in in my main interview. Oh, one thing for the police registration, when you arrive, then they start asking you your route and everything. And at this point, there is no need to lie. Don't even try to say if they ask you how did you come. If you've been to Italy, don't say I have not been to Italy. There's no point. There is no point in lying. These people already have the information. They're just asking you to confirm. So I thank God that I had most of my information still refreshed, but I couldn't really remember the exact date that I arrived. So I told them my route and everything, and they looked at it on the computer and they confirmed. So don't go and say I came from this place to this place when you came from this place. For me, I arrived in Frankfurt, but I came from, sorry, I'm going to go back a little bit. I arrived in Frankfurt, but I came from Italy. So from Florence, Italy to Frankfurt. But in Italy, no, I didn't, there was no fingerprints taken. I didn't seek for asylum in Italy. I just use it as a route to get here. And so when they asked me, I told them that I came from Italy, and they even saw it. They even they told me that, okay, I arrived here, I think it was the 23rd or the 22nd of December 2018. I said yes, approximately at this time, at this date. I cannot really tell, and everything. They saw it. They said okay, they were going to check if I have Dublin. That's because when you arrive, they expect you to seek for asylum in your first port of entry. So that was something that I was waiting for too. If you have Dublin, then they would have to send me back. But thank God I didn't have that. But it's because of a reason. And I will let you guys know later. So after my interview, and they also told me that they were waiting for my Dublin results. It had not yet come out, and it would take a while. But if I have, because the man who did my interview, sometimes when I explain to people my asylum process here, I can really say by the grace of God, the man was really nice to me, and he believed that I deserved a second chance. And so he said that he's not sure if I've got a Dublin, but if I have any reason to not be sent back to Italy, I can send it to him. I can just maybe write a letter or something like that and send it to him. And so when after my medical checkup that I told you guys about, it was discovered that I had a medical condition, which I'm not going to talk about it right here. I will talk about that in another video. But I just want to say that I just feel very grateful that I was able to come to this country that has such medical facilities. It is such a situation where sometimes I say to myself, I could have just walked one day and fall down and die, and people will say it's the people in the village because we don't have these medical checkups, and we just live with a lot of illnesses and diseases in our body, and we don't even know. And so that's my personal life. I'm not going to start talking about it at this point. Maybe in another video when I feel comfortable talking about it. But mind you, I'm fine right now, but I do visit the hospital from time to time to make sure that to make sure that I am being taken care of. So after my interview lasted about, I don't know, about 4 hours because of the translation and things like that. And after my interview, that was in March. In April, May, I left the camp through the help of the socials. That's different. That is different from the immigration. I was moved to an apartment where I shared the apartment with some other person, and I stayed in. I At this point I just continued with my Dutch lessons. There was nothing more to do while waiting for my results. So I was living in that apartment for the meantime. I stayed until I had my results about in August or September, and my results came positive, which I was very grateful. And so from then, I because when the results, I was on my way. Okay, I was on my way to school, and then I got downstairs, and I was like, let me just check the mailbox, open the box, and then boom, there is it. Bam! I'm like, oh my god, Judgment Day has come. Please put that sound. I was like, the Judgment Day has come, and so I opened it, and it always comes in two languages, German, of course, and then your native language, English. And I was just like flipping through the papers and throwing all the papers around, like, where is the English part of it? And then I read it says that my result is positive. And I couldn't be more grateful to have been given the second chance to start a life in this country. And so that is basically my asylum process so far. And mind you, some people live in the camp for 6 months, but I was great. I was so lucky that I got moved by the social service to an apartment, and yeah, and so and once you get your results, it is a whole nother process to get registered into the system and start living as someone who has a residence permit in Germany, which I am going to talk about that process in another video, just not to make this video a little bit too longer. So if you want to see that, you can, if you want to hear the process you would take to get registered and get into the system as someone who has legally living in Germany, we can talk. You can leave a comment below. But however, I am going to talk about it in another video. So yeah, thank you for watching, and that is an overview of my asylum process in Germany. And I want to say that it is different for everybody. It was more stressful than I have explained here. I cannot really explain the emotions and feelings, the moment where when I was walking, in the snow, and crying, and because I had a lot of things to do, but at the end of the day, I'm now at the end of the tunnel where the sun shines. So I don't want to visit the really traumatizing personal experience. Not say traumatizing, just very stressful. But I think that going through such a process, it's not expected to be easy. But at the end of the day, I made it, and I'm here. And another thing, when you are narrating your story at the BAMF, you have to be consistent, and your story has to have one theme. Some people, it just depends from people, from persons to persons, but just make sure that you have a focus, you have a theme, you have what you're telling, because what they want to know is what made you leave your home country. They don't want to know why you don't want to go back to your home country. They want to know what made you leave your home country, and they want to know your route of persecution, where you have been to, and all of these things. So the only advice I can give you is make sure that you are consistent in your story, and make sure that you're convincing a lot, and make sure that if you're using dates, they should be accurate and everything like that. There is no there is no magic to it. There is no magic to seeking asylum. Sometimes some people have good reasons, but it's just their narration that don't get them what they want. So just be sincere, be consistent, be truthful, don't lie to these people, and you will get it. Thank you for watching.